All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are unpacking the really raw emotional journey of Psalm 41. Now, this is an ancient poem for sure, but the story it tells about navigating a deep crisis and somehow finding a reason to hold on to hope, that's absolutely timeless.
And really, that's the question at the very heart of this thing. What do you do when your whole world just collapses? I mean, when it's not just your body failing you, but the very people you trust turn against you, right at your lowest moment. This is the human drama we're about to step into. So, what's interesting is the psalm doesn't start in the middle of the chaos. Nope. It actually begins with a promise. It's like it's laying out this foundational belief: if you show compassion to others, you'll be protected. It's a statement of how the world is supposed to work. And this isn't some vague, wishy-washy promise. It is incredibly specific. We're talking about deliverance from trouble, real protection, being counted among the blessed. It even talks about not being handed over to your enemies and being physically sustained on your sickbed. The key thing here is that the psalmist sets up this clear expectation of care, of divine rescue, for people who do the right thing. So hang on to that thought, because that whole idea is about to be put to the ultimate test. And then, bam, just like that, the whole tone shifts on a dime. We go from this big, beautiful, universal promise to something deeply personal and, frankly, agonizing. The speaker isn't talking about those who are compassionate anymore. Now they're talking about themselves.
And here it is, the raw plea. You can just feel the vulnerability, right? The speaker is crying out for help, but also admitting their own failings. This isn't a cry of why me just yet. It's a desperate personal appeal for mercy and for healing. Yep, the crisis is officially here. Now, you gotta understand, this suffering isn't just one thing. It is an all-out assault from every direction. First, there's the physical crisis, a vile disease. Then it gets social. His enemies are literally just waiting for him to die. And as if that's not enough, it's also a reputational crisis, with people spreading slander about him while he's completely helpless. It is a complete and total siege. And then comes this, the ultimate gut punch. This is the line that just cuts the deepest. It's not the faceless enemies that cause the most pain. It's the betrayal by a close friend, someone you trusted, someone you shared meals with. This is what transforms the crisis from just a misfortune into a profound personal tragedy. Just when you think all is lost, the psalm pivots. The speaker stops just describing their despair and starts fighting back. Not with weapons, but with words, with faith. This is that turning point, the moment they go from being a victim to being their own advocate. But just listen to that first word, but. This little word is the hinge that the entire psalm swings on. It's a defiant no to the current reality. It's the moment the speaker pushes back against the sickness, against the enemies, against the despair, and makes a direct appeal to a higher power for restoration. So you might be wondering, where does this sudden confidence come from? How do they build it back up? Well, the text gives us this really clear three-part logic. First, they see a sign. The simple fact that their enemies haven't totally won yet is proof that God is on their side. Second, they state a reason, their own integrity. They believe they're being held up because they've lived a good life. And finally, they envision a future, being set back in a place of honor forever. So with that confidence totally locked in, the personal story just expands outward. It transforms from one person's desperate, private prayer into this powerful, universal declaration of praise that feels like it could echo through eternity. And there it is. The journey is complete. It started with a promise, plunged into a nightmare of sickness and betrayal, and then climbed its way back out through a defiant act of faith. And the ending isn't just a quiet, "Whew, I survived." No way. It's a triumphant chorus shouting that this divine presence is worthy of praise forever and ever. And so that's what we're left with. This psalm, it's not just some old document, it's a map of a human experience. It charts a course from the absolute depths of suffering to a defiant kind of hope. And it leaves us wondering, right? In our own moments of crisis, in our own lives, where do we find our but, that one single turning point that allows us to start fighting for our own vindication?